Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chat Like a Native.
Yeah, welcome back.
We're diving into something today that's super important for taking your English to that next level and sounding really like a natural and confident speaker.
Okay,
And that is apologies.
right.
How to apologize.
Uh,
Like a native speaker.
yeah. Have you ever been in that situation where you just you're not sure
Right.
if you should apologize or if you're apologizing too much?
Totally.
And maybe you're even worried that all these apologies are making you sound less confident.
yeah, are you maybe coming across as a little bit unsure of yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're constantly apologizing for things.
Right.
We're going to clear all of that up today
We are.
in this deep dive.
Yeah.
So stick with us, and you will learn when it's crucial to apologize,
Uh-huh.
when you might not need to apologize,
Right.
and the best ways to apologize
Yeah.
to make sure that you sound confident and natural. And I think this is going to make a huge difference
Totally.
in how you communicate.
Yeah, it's not just about knowing the right words to say.
Right.
It's really about understanding that whole mindset
Yeah.
behind apologies
Mm-hmm.
in English.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at all of that.
Yeah.
Why we apologize.
Right.
What impact it has.
Yeah.
And some really practical tips to make those apologies more effective.
Yes.
And even to help you feel more confident overall
Love it.
in your English speaking.
Okay, so let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
Why do we even bother apologizing?
Right.
I mean, it seems kind of obvious.
Yeah.
Do something wrong.
You messed up.
You say sorry.
You apologize.
Right.
Yeah.
But is there more to it
There is.
than just that kind of simple exchange?
I think so.
Okay.
At its core, I think apologizing is acknowledging
Right.
that you've made some kind of misstep.
Right.
And you're showing the other person that you're aware of how it impacted them.
Right. Like you're aware of the impact
Uh-huh.
of your actions.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's a way to repair things,
To kind of smooth things over.
right? To smooth things over,
Yeah.
to show you care.
Right.
But I know a lot of learners
Yeah.
worry that saying sorry too much
Yeah.
will make them seem insecure.
Right. Or less confident.
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I totally get that.
Yeah.
Like why they would feel that way.
Yeah.
You don't want to come across
Right.
as not being confident.
Right.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
I've noticed that people who never apologize
Yeah.
can sometimes seem a little bit
Distant.
distant. Yeah.
Or maybe even like
Yeah.
a little
Cool.
a
Cool.
little unfriendly.
Yeah. Unfriendly.
Right.
Uh,
Like they don't care as much.
right. And so it's like finding that balance
Yeah. Yeah.
between the two extremes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one. It is tough
Yeah.
because like you were saying, you don't want to seem
Right.
like you lack confidence.
Right.
But the funny thing is that
Yeah.
a genuine apology
Uh-huh.
can actually demonstrate strength.
So how does that work?
So think about it.
Okay.
To admit that you're wrong,
Huh?
that takes self-awareness.
Right. You have to first be aware
Right.
that you've done something wrong.
Right.
Right?
And then to go that extra step
Uh-huh.
and apologize for it,
Right.
that shows that you're willing to take responsibility for your actions.
Right. It's like saying, hey, I'm human.
Yeah.
I make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to own up to them.
Totally.
Right.
And that to me
Yeah.
sounds a lot more confident
Yeah.
than trying to pretend that nothing happened.
Right. Or just brushing it under the rug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brushing it under the rug.
I like that.
So if we kind of zoom out and think about the bigger picture here,
Okay.
a well thought out apology.
You know, can really strengthen relationships.
Right.
And I'm talking about personal relationship. I'm
Mhm.
talking about relationships at work,
At school.
at school,
Yeah, in any area of life.
in any area of life where you have to interact with other humans.
Right, because it shows respect
Uh-huh.
and it helps build trust.
Exactly.
And it's not even just about fixing one specific situation.
Right. Right.
It's about,
It's about fostering positive connections.
yeah, fostering those positive
The
connections.
people that you interact with.
Right.
Right. So we can kind of see
Yeah.
that it's not just about saying the words.
Right.
It's about what's behind the words.
Uh-huh.
Right. And showing that you understand the impact of your actions.
Yeah.
Okay. So we kind of get why it's important.
Yeah.
But I think the tricky part for a lot of learners
Yeah.
is when to actually apologize.
Yeah. When is it actually necessary?
Right.
Right.
It's not always crystal clear,
It's not always clear.
is it?
It's-
Yeah.
And I think knowing when you really need to apologize
Right.
versus when it might be better to do something else
Right.
is really crucial. I mean, there are definitely times when
Yeah.
Standing your ground or using a different phrase altogether
Right.
is more appropriate.
Than just saying sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some clear-cut scenarios.
Okay, let's do it.
When is it a definite you need to apologize situation?
Okay, so if you've made a really clear mistake,
Uh-huh.
especially at work or at school,
Okay.
like you missed a deadline,
Yeah.
or there's a mistake in a report that you submitted,
Right.
those are the times
Yeah.
when a really direct apology is super important.
Like you've got to own up to it.
Yes.
Okay.
And you've got to show them that you're going to take action
Yeah.
to fix the problem.
To fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some phrases you can use are like,
Okay.
I'm sorry for the mistake.
Uh-huh.
I will fix it right away.
Oh, perfect.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Short.
Straight to the point.
To the point.
Clear.
Clear.
Good.
And you're showing that you're taking action.
You're taking action.
Yes.
Okay, what about in a situation where you've accidentally said something
Oh, yeah.
that maybe hurt someone's feelings?
That's also super important
Okay.
because even if you didn't mean
Right.
to cause any offense,
Uh-huh.
if your words had a negative impact,
Right.
then a really sincere apology can be a really good first step.
So how would you phrase that?
You could say something like, I'm so sorry
Yeah.
if my words hurt you.
Right.
And that shows that you're acknowledging their feelings.
Right. You're acknowledging how they feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, another thing to keep in mind
Okay.
is that what might be totally fine
Yeah.
to say in one culture
Uh-huh.
might be considered super rude in another culture.
Oh, yeah. Huge cultural differences
Yeah.
when it comes to apologizing, right?
Yeah. And so being sensitive to those differences is really, really important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to keep in mind.
Right.
So we've got the must apologize situations covered.
We do.
Now, what about the other side of the coin?
Okay.
When should we maybe hold back on saying sorry?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
And that brings up that issue of over-apologizing.
Right.
So if you're saying sorry all the time,
Yeah.
even for tiny little things
Right.
that aren't even really your fault,
Uh-huh.
that can actually make you
Yeah.
seem less confident.
Right.
It can make you seem like you're not sure of yourself.
Like you're not sure of yourself. Like
Yeah.
you're second guessing yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
And I've seen that
I've seen it so many times.
where people just like,
Yeah.
their default is to say sorry
Sorry.
for almost everything.
Yeah, and it's like you haven't even really done anything wrong,
Right.
but you're apologizing anyway.
Right. Yeah. And so in those smaller everyday situations,
Yeah.
like maybe you bump into somebody on the street
Right.
or somebody spills their coffee on you.
Right.
Sometimes a simple, excuse me,
Right.
or even a thank you
Right.
is much more appropriate.
Like if someone holds the door open for you,
Exactly.
so just say thank you.
Yeah. Right.
You don't need to say, oh, I'm so sorry
Like
that you
it-
had to hold the door open for me.
All right. Exactly. Yeah. And so just being aware of
Yeah.
when an apology is really necessary
Uh-huh.
versus when maybe it's not
Yeah.
is really key here.
Yeah, that's a good distinction to make.
Now, you mentioned earlier
Yes.
that just building your confidence
Yeah.
overall
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
speaking English
Uh-huh.
can actually help
Totally.
reduce that tendency to over-apologize.
Yeah.
So how can people listening
Yeah.
work on building their overall confidence in speaking?
Okay, so one thing I recommend
Okay.
that I think is really powerful.
Is practicing active listening.
Okay, so what does active listening really mean?
So it's more
Yeah.
than just like hearing the words that the person is saying.
Right.
It means that you're really focusing
Uh-huh.
on what they're saying.
Okay.
You're trying to really understand their perspective.
Right.
And you're asking questions
Uh-huh.
to make sure you've understood them correctly.
So you're engaging with the person that you're talking to.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
when you do that,
Uh-huh.
when you're actively engaged in the conversation,
Right.
you're less likely to misinterpret things
Right.
or to make mistakes
Yeah.
that then require you to apologize.
So you're more likely to get things right
Yeah,
in the first place if you're really paying attention to what the other person is saying.
exactly.
Okay, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
What else can people do?
Preparation and practice are also really important.
Okay.
So if you have a big meeting coming up,
It's a presentation or maybe even just like a difficult conversation.
Yeah.
Take some time
right,
to think about what you want to say.
right, to kind of plan it out.
Plan it out and then practice saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And you can do this in front of a mirror.
Right.
You can do it with a friend.
With a friend, or even just record yourself.
Yeah.
Which I know can feel kind of strange.
It feels weird
Yeah.
at first.
Right.
But trust me, it's really helpful.
I've heard this is really helpful.
It's so helpful because you can listen back.
Yeah.
And you can hear,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I'm speaking too fast.
You're right.
Maybe I'm not pronouncing this word correctly.
Right. Or maybe my tone.
Yeah, I was in a little bit. Or maybe you're saying, too much.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So it can really help you identify those areas.
To work on.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've heard that can be really good.
It is.
What about how we carry ourselves?
Oh, that's so important too.
Our body language
Yeah.
communicates so much
Uh-huh.
about how confident we feel.
Okay, so what are some things that we should be doing?
Okay, so number one,
Okay.
good posture.
Okay.
So think about shoulders back,
Right.
standing up straight
Yeah.
or sitting up straight.
Okay.
Number two, make eye contact.
Okay.
And then the other thing is your voice.
Okay.
Speaking in a clear, steady voice
Right.
can make a huge impact
Right.
on how confident you appear to other people.
Right. So even if you don't feel confident on the inside,
Yeah.
if you project that
Yeah.
outwardly.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what else I think is really important?
What's that?
Is that confidence
Yeah.
is not just about the words you're saying.
Uh-huh.
It's also about how you're saying them.
Okay.
So things like
Yeah.
your facial expressions.
Right.
Do you look relaxed?
Right. So trying to look relaxed even if you're not feeling relaxed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All of that plays a part
Okay.
in appearing confident.
So stand tall, make eye contact,
Yeah.
and speak clearly.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay.
Now, what happens if you do?
Okay.
Like stumble over your words or make a mistake
Uh-huh.
while you're speaking?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
Good question.
Yeah, without like getting all flustered
Yep.
and, over apologizing for it?
Yeah. I think the best thing to do
Okay.
is to briefly acknowledge the slip up
Okay.
and then just correct it
Right.
and move on.
Right. Like keep going.
Yeah, don't dwell on it.
Right.
Don't apologize a million times.
Don't make a big deal out of it.
Just fix it and keep going.
And keep going.
Because I think that shows
Yeah.
that you can think on your feet
Right.
and you can recover
Yeah.
quickly
Yeah.
from mistakes.
And it shows that you have control
Yeah,
of the situation.
exactly.
Okay. So just a quick correction and then back on track.
Back on track.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the language that we use specifically when apologizing.
Okay.
What are some key things
Yeah.
that intermediate English learners
Yeah.
should keep in mind
Yeah.
when they're making apologies?
Okay, so clarity and simplicity I think are really important.
Okay.
So when you're apologizing,
Yeah.
it's generally best to avoid like really complicated language.
Right.
Or super long sentences. Just get straight to the point.
Okay. So for example.
So instead of saying something super formal like,
Yeah.
I deeply regret the unfortunate incident that transpired due to my oversight.
Oh my gosh, that's so formal.
Right.
It's like way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A simple,
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the mistake,
Uh-huh.
I'll fix it,
Yeah.
is so much clearer.
Right.
And honestly, it sounds more sincere
Yeah. I agree.
and more confident.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, just keep it simple,
Keep it clear and simple.
clear and simple.
Okay.
The other thing is,
Yeah.
it can be really helpful
Uh-huh.
to just familiarize yourself
Right.
with some common apology phrases.
Right. Like have a couple.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah. Like have them in your back pocket.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know.
So what are a few of those?
Okay. So I'm sorry for,
Uh-huh.
please forgive me for,
Okay.
and I apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Okay.
Those are some good ones to start with.
Okay. And so once you have those phrases,
Yeah.
what should you do with them?
Just practice saying them out loud
Okay.
a couple of times,
Uh-huh.
and that will help them feel more natural
Okay.
when you need to use them.
Right. So it's not just about understanding
Right.
what they mean.
Uh-huh.
It's about being comfortable
Yeah.
saying them.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And what about our tone of voice?
Oh my gosh, your tone of voice is so important.
Okay.
It can completely change how your apology is perceived.
Right.
So a sincere and calm tone usually works best.
Okay.
Just try to avoid sounding like rushed
Right.
or dismissive
Uh-huh.
or overly emotional.
Okay.
And you know what else helps? Speaking slowly
Right.
and clearly.
To make sure that people understand.
Uh-huh.
Right. Yeah, a hurried apology definitely sounds like you're just trying to get it over with.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you mentioned earlier some phrases that you can use
Yes.
to get back on track
Yeah.
after you make a mistake. So
Yeah.
could you remind us of a couple of those?
Yeah. Okay, so some good ones are moving on.
Uh-huh.
What I want to focus on now is,
Right.
or let's work together on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are all good ways to kind of regain control
Yeah.
of the conversation.
Right. And kind of steer it.
Steer it back.
Yeah, back in the right direction.
Back in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And now I think we need to address something that a lot of people struggle with,
Yeah.
which is just the fear of apologizing,
Oh, yeah.
right? A lot of people, even native English speakers, I think, worry that saying sorry
Right.
makes them look weak.
Uh-huh.
So how can we change that perspective?
Yeah, so it really comes down to how you think about apologies.
Okay.
Okay? So instead of seeing them
Yeah.
as an admission of failure,
Right.
try to see them as a way to build trust
Okay.
with the other person.
Okay.
To show that you have integrity
Right.
and
Yeah.
to show your commitment
Uh-huh.
to learning and growing.
Right.
So admitting a mistake
Uh-huh.
is actually a sign of strength.
Okay.
It's not a sign of weakness.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's about taking ownership of your actions.
Yeah.
And showing that you're willing to grow from them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And every time you give an apology,
Uh-huh.
try to think of it as a learning experience.
Okay.
You could even ask for feedback from the other person.
Right.
Like, hey, how do you think I handled that situation?
Could I have done anything better?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that can be
Yeah.
a really good way
Yeah.
to turn something that could be uncomfortable
Right.
into a chance to learn and grow.
Right. And the last thing,
Yeah.
and this is maybe the most important thing,
Okay.
be kind to yourself.
Right.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Everybody makes mistakes.
Apologizing is normal.
Yeah,
It's part of being human.
absolutely.
So just try to be kind to yourself.
We can be so hard on ourselves.
Oh, yeah. We're our own worst critics.
Yeah, right. Especially when we're learning something new.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now let's zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and talk about how apologies might vary
Yeah.
in different situations.
Right.
Right? We touched a little bit on cultural differences.
Yeah.
But what about like professional
Yeah.
versus personal settings? Yeah, I think those are two really different scenarios.
Okay.
So in a professional setting,
Yeah.
it's generally best to be super direct and sincere.
Okay.
So a brief, clear apology,
Mhm.
followed by an explanation of how you're going to fix the problem,
Right.
is usually most effective.
So you're taking accountability.
Yes, taking ownership.
Right.
You're showing that you understand the impact of your mistake,
Yeah.
and you have a plan
Uh-huh.
to prevent it from happening again.
So you've thought it through
Uh-huh.
and you have solutions.
Yeah.
Okay.
And generally, it's good to keep it short
Okay.
and avoid over-apologizing
Right.
or making excuses.
Don't make excuses.
No.
Okay. So for example.
Yeah, so you could say something like,
Uh-huh.
"Good morning, I have me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the delay in submitting the report.
Okay.
I have identified the issue
Uh-huh.
and will have the revised version to you by this afternoon."
Great. Straight to the point.
Straight to the point.
Acknowledging the mistake.
Uh-huh. And providing a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, so in a professional setting, it's all about being efficient,
Yeah.
taking responsibility,
Uh-huh.
and focusing on solutions.
Right.
What about in personal relationships?
Okay. So in personal relationships,
Uh-huh.
especially with like close friends and family,
Yeah.
emotions are obviously way more involved.
Right.
So acknowledging the other person's feelings and showing empathy is super important.
Okay.
So you could say something like, "I'm really sorry for what I said.
Hmm.
I didn't mean to hurt you, and I'd like to talk about how we can move forward together."
Okay.
And that shows that you understand
Uh-huh.
how your words or actions
Right.
impacted them.
Right.
And I think being honest about your own feelings